Hi everyone, it's Nancy here and I'm back with another process video for you, and this is for my GoGo Getaway blog post where I'm using Nikki's class that she taught at the March Getaway, where she used wood veneers and painted half of them and that. If you do go and check out the blog post, you'll be able to see a picture of her layout. I'll put the link of that below. I had this big large wooden die cut that was in my stash. It's been in there for quite a while. I wasn't really sure how I was going to use it, but what I did is took inspiration from the class and I painted half of it. Well, I didn't really paint it, it's a blue texture paste, so I just put that down on one side of it, and then I put a little bit of line of glitter in because in the class there was some glitter used as well. So I then used my silhouette cameo to do some cameo cuts that I'm going to use to infill it. I put a couple of bits on here like these little people, Amy Tangerine ones actually, that just on, and I actually wanted to just show you this because I put two 6x12 pieces of paper on my mat in order to cut two different colours. What I did also is I cut two of the letters, the words for my title, and I then glue those together just so it's a little bit more rigid as well as a title. So there's two layers on those words. So I'm going to infill all these circles, and I'm going to put my title here. As you can see, I've cut out some circles that fitted the middles, and then I'm using my 2-inch circle punch in order to punch my photos. I think I'm going to include 4 photos on here. And as you'll know, I took so many photos when I was in the States, and of course so many when we were actually driving from San Francisco to LA and along the highway there. And so I'm just using my punch to cut out a couple of the views, and I'm really happy actually how this turned out. It's really fab. So I'm super pleased how these came out. So I've just cut those there. And then I've also used my silhouette just to cut out a couple of outlines of the United States. Just because I thought, you know, I'm trying to use that as a bit of a theme. I then pull out these wood veneers, which are from Imaginescence. They were from the travel collection. I haven't seen much from Imaginescence recently. I know they were brought out by American Crafts, but I don't know if American Crafts are still going to do anything with them or not. So I then pulled out a wood veneer to fit in each of the shapes. And then I'm just going to use some other papers. I've also got some polka dot vellum that was sent to me by... Oh, my brain is not working. It's quite late at night when I'm doing this narration. I had all the Kaiser Craft Tropical Collection. And there's some vellums in there. My brain's not working. If that's you and you still watch my videos, I'm sorry, I'm crap at remembering names. So I'm just using my Martha Stewart punch around the page one, which is a pinked circle. Love it. I love this pink circle so much. I'm just using that to layer in a couple of the circles. And then so I'm using my 2-inch punch to do some other layers. I did try and put a paper layer behind those hearts, but I just couldn't get anything to look quite right because the hearts were quite large. If I'd have made the hearts a little bit smaller, it would have probably worked, but it didn't. So again, I've just cut out just a sort of plainer blue there, and then I end up going into my stash and actually pulling out a paper pad which was Brighton Pier, which was a very old Studio Calico one. I don't think Studio Calico make paper anymore, do they? Because they did the 7 paper and then they stopped doing that. I'm not really sure if Studio Calico do paper or not still, but anyway. That was the Brighton Pier, and it had cute little clouds on it. And it had clouds of words, so I'm going to use that. That's a piece of marble paper that was from a Maggie Holmes one, I believe. So this is the one where I've got the text piece. I'm actually going to end up cutting it down into a pink circle because I had that frame there so it didn't quite fit. And then I'm going to use another bit just on my punch because behind my title I didn't want too much busy paper because I wanted it to read easily. So now I kind of roughly know where I've got each of my bits. I'm going to look at some embellishments to add. These are some older freckled fawn embellishments. So this one says sunshine, and they're kind of a faceted, kind of like enamel. I don't know, they're kind of weird. They're like a faceted flare almost. So now I'm happy with how everything looks. I decided not to take it off and just glue this and try and stick it on. So there's a couple of bits that do get stuck under it, but and I do forget to then put a frame back on, but I do remember at the very end. Then I'm just going to use my wet glue to stick everything down. I'm not worrying too much about everything being centralised in circles and things. I think you can get really hung up on that kind of thing, and just it's not me. So yeah, I'm just super happy actually how those little frames worked in it, and I'm going to admit they're a bit of a pain in the butt to make sure little bits are out. They're all little stars. I love how they look, but it was, like I say, a complete pain in the butt really. So just going around and sticking everything down. I didn't add any mist or anything to any of this because I decided I just wanted to keep it quite sort of clean. This bit I had to pull out because I'd stuck it under the piece of veneer. I like how the wood veneers work. I'm going to keep some of the wood veneers plain, but others I'm going to add a little bit of just paint on a little bit of my, I can't think what colour it is. It's like a glittery pale blue, and then I'm going to go over my Winker Stella as well. I pulled out another one of those faceted little embellishments that just fit perfectly inside the camera, and that's a little yellow bit. So I decided I need another pop of yellow somewhere on the layout as well, because it was all a bit very blue and grey. So I decided I needed to bring in another little pop of colour. So I am end up going to be hunting through some enamel dots, and I found a stash of little enamel dots when I was clearing up. So I found a bag which I used to use all the time and carry around with me. So I found I had some in there. So that's another thing that I need to try and use, because I have loads of enamel dots and I don't use them. I know some people use, you know, are mad about enamel dots, but I'm just a bit rubbish and don't use them. So here I've just pulled my sheet back in because I left the dots of the eyes on there, because I knew I'd lose them if I stuck them anywhere else. So I'm now going to stick those down, and I'm going to pop some of them up on some 3D foam. This is some old Stampin' Up 3D foam actually, which I used to love, but I don't use anymore. So I'm just popping them there because, say, I am going to end up putting some bits of 3D foam behind some of that title for California, because of course it goes over the wood veneer, so it does need popping up in a couple of places. I'm super happy how that little line of glitter worked. I mean, it looked a little bit strange when I did it because it wasn't one solid piece, but I think with all the layers on it actually works really well. And there was some glitter that Nikki used on her page on a couple of the embellishments as well. She used some of the shimmers paints and things like that, which look fab, but I kind of quite like that you can't see it too much here in the video, but there is a texture on that paint, so it's really nice. It just adds a little bit, adds, you know, height without too much height. So I'm super happy with how everything's come together. I am going to remember to put that frame over there on the side back on the layout, because you know, it wouldn't have worked otherwise, because I had 3 of everything and then forgot that. So yeah, this is where I just find this stash of bits, and I was a bit annoyed because the really small ones didn't fit in the holes. So I was like, oh, I'm going to try and fill it up with glue to get it to sit, but it wouldn't then stick. So I ended up going up to the next size, which probably is a little bit more prominent than I really like, but it kind of also works because it definitely brings that pop of yellow in. There's so many different bits and pieces here that I really need to kind of use them up. You can see inside the bag there's random bits stuck everywhere, so I do need to make sure that I use those a little bit more. This is where I'm just taking my blue glimmer mist and I'm just painting over a couple of those. I'm going to leave the camera and that is blank ones because they have the yellow elements on. I did just take a heart which was from those little people that I cut out and put it inside that geotag, and it kind of picks up the hearts that are in the other piece. So I'm super happy with how this came out. I really love this. I'm super glad that actually I've got that wood veneer out of my stash, because it was something that I was kind of hoarding a little bit. I'm just going to add my date stamp down there at the bottom onto that tag where I had a bit of space. I'm not going to do any journaling on here. It's kind of be more of an introductory page. Just go over my week, Stella, and call it a day. So thank you very much, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this layout, and please do go and check out the blog post. Thanks, guys. Bye.